is the most conductive metal in the universe. Yes, silver is more conductive than gold. Go look that up. Black mirror is to look into other. It's a dielectric capacitor. So just think about this a second. The silver mirror versus the black mirror. Let's get into the metaphysics of that. Silver mirror, you're looking at your objective, demonstrable psychophysical self. You're not actually looking through the mirror. You're being reflected with enough ambient light. Then it is a dielectric reflector. So we're actually looking at objectivity, psychophysical objectivity, but we're not looking into the mirror to drag our soul into dilution, into the black scrying mirror. When you actually look deeply into the other side, which is what these black polished obsidian mirrors were designed for, it was a two-way portal that they would actually extract information and knowledge from the other side, as the Mayans did say. But at the same time, it took something from you. It's that monkey's paw paradigm where it'll give you what you want, but in exchange, you'll actually take part of your soul. And of course, the soul is not divisible. When I actually say take part of your soul, I mean it actually takes possession of you, no different than dilution. An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. Now, there's not an ounce in here, but there's something close to a half an ounce in this $35 rock. But it is the $35 rock, where the gold's $2,000 an ounce, $20.75. It's roughly about $1,000, maybe as much as $400 to $1,000. I actually can't see the interior of this, but I can certainly see the gold through here. But it is diluted. So when we actually talk about purification and retroduction and abduction, we're talking about extraction. What's the opposite of dilution? The opposite of dilution is concentration. To dilute the spirit by looking to and scrying on these mirrors. By the way, once again, glass is a capacitor. These black mirrors are glass. We've actually engineered our own destruction. And you know, everywhere you go, everybody's looking into a scrying mirror. It's 100% undeniable. With thousands of microprocessors, and that's what these are. They actually make these silicon wafers. These are really valuable collector items. You actually put a bright light on these, and they look incredibly beautiful with the diffraction. But these are little microprocessor chips. There's about 200 on these, and of course larger ones like this that are powering this iPad, that are powering this computer, that's powering your Samsung, that's powering your iPhone, that's powering your car, even your microwave. I mean, even refrigerators now, the fancy ones, have screens on them, and they have silicon wafers in them. So human beings are being possessed by, and we're engineering our own destruction with these scrying mirrors. What makes you think that thousands of little transistors that are on this, each one of these little chips, there's like a couple hundred on these, is any different than the black obsidian scrying mirror, which is made of the exact same stuff as this. This is extremely ultra-pure silicon. Obsidian is silicon. Glass is silicon. It's a capacitor. Now, what about the glass that actually covers the silver backing? It's a dielectric reflector, but the black mirror is a dielectric capacitor. It is also to the portal through which we dilute, like this rock, the nature of that which we are. The soul is indivisible, but that doesn't mean it cannot be diluted and scattered. Transcendence, every Plotinus, Numenius, Syrianus, Nemesius, Proclus, Advaita Vedanta, the Upanishads, the Nikayas, on and on and on and on. They all say the same thing. Transcendence is removal of modulation. Modulation is dilution. Modulation is releasing force. It is a release of energy manifesting as force, and that's, of course, dilution. Bhavanyurodhanabandham. Yoga Chitta Vritti Niroda. Vritti Niroda, the subjugation of modulation. Subjugation, Niroda of modulation. Vritti. Bhavanyurodhanabandham. Nirvana is the ending of Niroda, becoming. Becoming and modulation. Vritti and bhava both mean the exact same thing. Becoming and modulation. So they all teach the same thing. Transcendence is demodulation. What does demodulation mean? It's actually really simple. This is not some sort of obtuse, metaphysical, hierarchical vocabulary. It is the removal of the release of force. Yeah. It's the removal of the Cartesian perturbation of that which one inherently is, just as this gold has been scattered amongst this rock. 300, 400, maybe even $1,000 worth of gold in this, but this is a $35 to $40 rock. Purification never occurs to gold, because gold is gold is gold. Neither is it the case of the soul. Rather, greater and greater concentrations, concentration is self-proximity, right? You're taking all the gold and you're trying to extract it and bring it into one, away from that which you don't want, i.e. phenomena. These scrying mirrors are literal portals and the genuine definition of actually true magic. Not anything in a movie or TV show. By the way, I know there used to be a TV show, I think it was a TV show, called Black Mirror. I'm not talking about that TV show. They might have actually got Black Mirror from these Aztec scrying mirrors. Silver mirror, of course, you see the existential self. The black mirror, you see the transcendent self. When rejecting the phenomena, of course, seen in the black mirror. Black, of course, blocks light. No different than matter. Matter, of course, creates a shadow. But a shadow is not a thing. It is a means by which we can actually peer with correct concentration of ourselves, but it also takes from ourselves. When you concentrate on something, that is also the same thing you dilute yourself into. Just think about that. I have to repeat that because it's so incredibly important, and it is very, very simple. Anything you concentrate upon, you are diluting yourself into and thereof. And that thing, as a portal, will take advantage of you. This is the reason why wisdom means self-proximity. The concentration of the self upon the self. Isn't that the removal of modulation, fear, longing, desire, greed, all the things that cause us disturbance in life? The inversion, of course, of that is the demodulation of the soul, which is the self concentrated on the self. But the self, of course, is not a subject. It is not a palpable, demonstrable phenomena. And this is where we get the idea of neti-neti, apophaticism, via negativa. The Greeks and the Indians and the Egyptians were all correct on this. It is the self extracting itself from that into which it has become modulated and scattered. What's the opposite of dilution? Ask yourself. This is hyper-rational and hyper-logical. Of course, black blocks light. If it's transparent, of course, it absorbs light. Glass, of course, even if it's black glass, absorbs and is capacitance. You actually can dilute through concentration. Like, what do you think it did to John Dee? Have you ever read some of his books? I really don't recommend it, but you could very, very quickly download a couple free ones. This is a guy who actually had a genuine Aztec. It doesn't have to be Aztec. It's polished black obsidian mirror. You could use anything as a scrying mirror, but it's very dangerous. He did it, and it did something to him, and it possessed him to create these books, which I don't recommend reading. I do not recommend reading those. It's John Dee and Sir Edward Kelly in the 1580s that they were experimenting with and using to a great degree these scrying mirrors. That's once again where probably Disney got, it wasn't Disney, I forget the books that Disney extracted the Snow White stuff from. I was putting Snow White on Disney, but there's actually a set of books. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of the all? Anyway, looking at these scrying mirrors, people are looking for truth and knowledge. They're being deceived. They're actually engaging in what is genuinely true, the genuine definition, not Harry Potter garbage and stuff in movies, but true magic. People look into silver mirrors for vanity, where they focus in upon the objective self, and of course the objective self made of matter is no different than the black mirror, which of course blocks light. As you very well know, matter is that which blocks light of the divine or of God, of course. They're looking into a way of the soul, but looking into a silver mirror, you're looking at the subjective self. But you're actually not taking possession and diluting your soul by what everybody's doing today, including me. I am so guilty of it as well. I mean, a substantial part of my job is staring into these black scrying screens.